How many of us have said the leads are bad? I'm here to say all leads are good depending on how you work them. Hey you guys, my name is Jonah Magness. Welcome back to the Magness Mogul Podcast. I own and operate martial arts studios, and I'm here to talk about what's helped me and my friends be a little bit more successful. Today, we're going to discuss the 3 ways that help me make my leads all the best that they possibly can be. But before we do that, we're going to talk about what is a lead, what are the leads that I'm referring to in this conversation. The leads we're talking about today are website leads, ad leads, and referrals. These are all warm leads, and what warm leads are means they have shown interest in us prior to us contacting them. And that's going to be super important for the 3 points I'm about to discuss. The 3 things are my mindset, how often I communicate with them, and how I even communicate with all of my leads. First, we're going to talk about my mindset when I'm communicating with my lead. The short 1-sentence takeaway is I have to remember that they showed interest first. So that is how I should be talking with them, not like they're total and complete strangers that I have to convince. So with this mindset, I wrote our entire script based on understanding that they showed interest first. So our script is based around how I would communicate with my current students. I walk into the conversation, pick up the phone, reach out to them with the assumption that they plan on signing up, because why would they have shown interest at all anyways? And what I've seen in our experience is that once I switch to this more common, less salesy, more friendly conversation, it disarms them and lets them understand that I just want to sit down and understand what their goals are, what they're looking for, like I talked about in the previous video. I can break down all of our scripts in a later video if you guys want. But one easy takeaway that helps you keep this mindset in mind, I don't have a better way to say that, is I never use the word if when I'm selling. I always say when you guys join, when you guys get on the floor, when you guys get your stuff, when, rather than saying if you guys decide to sign up with us. I don't really let that option be in my script, in my talking with new leads or current students. So I always want to make sure the newest person that I'm meeting also gets the same treatment of it's when you get your goal is how I'm talking to you, not if you get your goal, because I know you're already going to get it. Now, step 2 is our communication frequency. I follow a rule that I heard from Noah Kagan and Alex Ramosi of 100 a day, measuring in hundreds. And that's something that's been super helpful in the past 6 months for us, is me switching from my smaller base goals to literally 100 actions a day. Now remember, it's actions, not people, and I'll talk about what exactly I'm going for each day. Now, to be candid, I have an ad agency now, and their CRMs and automations help with a lot of these steps, and I definitely see a benefit to having these CRMs in place and these automations at least in place. But before, I used to do it all manually. I had my own automations that I'd set up before I had the means to have this like assistant feature. So in terms of frequencies, I'm calling 100 a day. So if I have less than 100 leads I'm reaching out to, then I'm going to be calling them multiple times a week until I get an answer. And that's going to be the biggest thing, is kind of like I talked about with selling the dream, is we want to have an answer. Not necessarily the answer I want, but I just want to help them make a decision, which I can talk more about in a separate sales video. One thing I do is I make sure I call them the same day. At least that's what I did when it was manually. Now that I have a little bit more remote functionality ever since 2020, I call them within the hour of them giving us their contact information, and I've seen my appointment scheduling rate skyrocket just by me calling them a little bit sooner, because they filled out the information, they got a call within an hour, and so they're still very fresh on their mind and very excited about the prospect of coming in. So, like I said earlier, with 100 actions per day, I'm calling roughly 50 to 70 people on my own, and then I have a team that's calling some other people as well. So we're hitting 100 leads per day. My personal goal is trying to hit 100 leads per day, because right now I have a backlist of over 800 people that haven't made a commitment or a decision yet one way or the other. So until they make that decision, I want to keep them calling. I want to keep checking in on them, seeing if they have any interest, catch them at a better time. Maybe they said no 6 months ago. So I just want to keep checking in. That being said, it's 100 actions per day that I'm definitely always hitting. So anybody I call, I also text and email. So I give them a call, I leave a voicemail, I shoot them a text saying, hey, I just left you a voicemail. Didn't know if I was easier to text you, if you had a chance to listen to it. I send them an email that says the same thing. Because the more means of communication, the more success I've seen with us reaching out to people. And that's going to get to step number 3. We're on to step number 3. We use Facebook, text, phone calls, and obviously if they come in person. Going back to what I said earlier, we have our CRM that helps keep us all in one place, and that's really, really important and really essential for us, is that it makes it really easy on our end to communicate however the client, the new lead, wants to be communicated with. Facebook is typically only the first message back and forth, but then in terms of follow-up, like I said, and how frequently I'm communicating with them, I follow up in all the means. I always start with the one that had the most success. So maybe we got on the phone, so I'll call them to check in on them if they haven't booked an appointment, or I'll call them to remind them about their appointment. But they're also, regardless, going to get a text and an email for that appointment. They reach out to me over Facebook, I'll keep messaging them over Facebook to check in, and I have to do that manually. I don't have the automations through Facebook Messenger. But they're still going to get the text, the email, and a phone call to make sure there's as much follow-up as possible, because maybe they message me over Facebook, but they actually prefer to talk on the phone to get all the answers they want with a little bit more immediacy. So I want to make sure I give them as many options as possible. One of the biggest things is communicating the way they want to be communicated with. So the more options I offer, the more likely I am to get more responses. If I only ever text all of my leads and I have someone who just hates texting, maybe they have a flip phone and it's really hard for them to text. Maybe they never check their email, which I'm sure is a lot like me. I rarely check my email. I scroll through it, see if anything's important, close it out. That's how I treat my email, and I know people who treat it the exact same way. Maybe they just love talking on the phone, and that's how they want to communicate, because they have a voice, they have a person, they understand it's not being automated because it's me or one of my team on the phone with them. And the more ways I'm willing to meet people where they are, the more ways I'm able to get them an appointment, so that way they come in and they get to experience our program. So if you're not really focused on how you think about your leads, or if you're like me and you used to think some leads are just bad and it's not worth your time, or I'm spending money on getting these leads and it's not really quality leads, I would look at your process of communicating with them, or how frequently you're communicating with them. Because if I call someone on a Monday at noon, maybe next week by getting through my whole cycle of 100 actions or 100 leads per day, maybe I'll call them the next week on Tuesday at 2 p.m. and that's just a better time for them. And they pick up, they book an appointment, that's way more successful. Or if I was only ever calling people, then I had to bank on them having the available time to talk on the phone, or actually even check their emails and follow up. But they prefer texting, so now we offer texting as a means of communicating, so that might just be somebody's preference. So I want you guys to go through and look at your back-end process of how you're interacting with your leads, how frequently you're reaching out to them, what ways you guys are reaching out to them, and then what you think about when you're picking up that phone. What's your mindset behind those conversations? I challenge you guys to start taking out the word if. Maybe call an extra 10% of your leads every day. Bump that number up, push it to a threshold that you can manage where you're going to be super successful, but increase it from where you're currently at, as well as try and add one extra medium of communication. That, I believe, will help you guys gain a little bit more success in creating higher quality leads with what I've seen in my experience. Again, remember, these are all warm leads. They reach out to you first. They're interested in your product. They've heard good things about you. They saw your excellent reviews. So I want you guys to make sure you're approaching all of these actions with that mindset. If you come at them with that confidence, they're going to feel that confidence and they're going to want to be with you. If you have a killer product, these leads are showing interest, that's what's going to help you close them. Share this with somebody that you guys would love to see get higher quality leads with the current leads that they have. Check out the rest of the videos in my playlist and subscribe for more.